Good morning, hello, and welcome to Tales from the Midnight Diary. My name is Gemma, and I'm coming to you from my home in Kent, where I live with my husband, my two cats, my puppy. It's been a little while since I spoke to you. I'd actually really wanted to speak to you a whole week ago, but there were some things that meant that I held off, and they will all be revealed for you today. If you're new here, welcome very much to the podcast. It is a creative podcast, vlogcast, videocast, if you will, where I share my creative endeavours, hoping to inspire you, show what's inspired me, and also share some of the behind the scenes life at a UK indie dyers. I've been dyeing yarn now for 3 years, almost exactly 3 years, coming up very soon. It's definitely a podiversary of some description, but I am not organised enough to talk about that today. So I've been codpasting, apparently, since 2018 as well, and I have absolutely loved every step of the journey and bringing you along the way. If you're returning, welcome back. Thank you for your patience, and I'm really pleased to be sat here again chatting with you. So let's get to it. So I have been finishing things, for me, at a rate of knots. For most people, I'm still kind of plodding along. But if you're a long-term viewer of the podcast, you will know that I suffer from a chronic condition called Castonitis, also known as startitis, also known as massive commitment issues to anything I choose to work on. But something has changed lately in me. I'm not sure what. I think it started a few weeks ago, possibly a couple of months ago, where I started to finish things, and the feeling of finishing things was really nice. So I thought I'd carry on. So last time I showed you my Wickboard, it looked like this. And this time it looks like this. So greatly reduced. I've actually taken something off of every category in my Wickboard, apart from Pip, who is, if you don't know, I'm expecting a little boy. Pip is not his name, it's his nickname. But I'm working on some bits for him as well, or a bit for him as well, one thing at a time. Yeah, so it looks like that. So I've finished 4 things in recent weeks. I say recent weeks, I finished a pair of socks not long after I last spoke to you, and then haven't finished anything else, but I haven't cast on anything new either. So what have I been up to? Let me show you my one finished object. It is unfortunately a photograph that I'm going to put on the screen, but I have finished what has been commonly become known as on Instagram as the waiting room socks. So these are socks that I've been working on for my dad for a while. I've been working on them predominantly in the hospital waiting room. I have a lot of hospital appointments at the moment, and I don't just like sitting there twiddling my thumbs. My phone battery is shocking and just dies. I like to be doing something useful with the time that I'm waiting around. I've got quite a long drive to the hospital, so I tend to get there anything up to 2 hours early for an appointment, just to be sure. I've got to negotiate the M25 and things like that. So so I always arrive early, and that has proven a really good opportunity for me to work on these socks. So I made a pair of rainbow socks for my dad that I sent to him for his birthday, only a week late, it's good for me. And he loved them so much that he requested more socks. So the yarn I've used here is West Yorkshire Spinners Signature 4-ply. It's a commercially available sock yarn. You can buy it direct from West Yorkshire Spinners, but lots of really good local yarn shops retail it as well, some of which are online, and that's where I got mine from. I got mine from the Yarn Dispensary website, which I will link just down below. I think they're waiting on new stock arriving, but you can definitely get this colour that I have used here. It's called the Peacock colourway. Sorry, I've got a footstool in front of me for the first time, and it keeps walking away from me. Yes, so this colourway is called Peacock. It's bright blues, greens, bits of white, and it's from their Birds collection. So within the signature collection of West Yorkshire Spinners, you've got I think it's called the Spice Rack. There was a floristry range. I'm not sure if it's still there. Winwick Mum has some lovely self-striping colours that have come out. And the cocktail range, which seems to be really winding down, which is a pity because I love their cocktail range. I'm definitely going to be snapping it up from wherever I can find it. I shouldn't really be bringing anything else into my stash. I'm meant to be making room, but if they're discontinuing things, I want them, right? Yes, so the first lot I did from my dad was Rum Paradise, which I believe is now discontinued, and it is a bright rainbow sock. I don't think he realises it's after an alcoholic cocktail. I'm not going to tell him. The second pair, this pair is Peacock, and that's from the Birds range. My dad loves bright socks, and he's one of these that cycles. Apologies if you've heard this story before, but he has a little folding bicycle which is a Brompton, and he also has a racing bike that he's had since he was a teenager, and he loves cycling. And regularly leaves his car at home and cycles. But he's one of these that tucks his trousers into his socks. So he'll be wearing his smart chinos, and then he's got silver trainers that he's been wearing. I can't remember what they're called, but he's been wearing them since as long as I can remember, certainly since I was a tiny baby. I think the day he stops being able to get them will be a very sad day for my dad. And often sort of sports socks if he's on his bicycle. And I just thought, the idea of him cycling around where he lives in Scotland with his chinos tucked into, or jeans tucked into, bright rainbow socks was just too tempting to pass up on. So that's what I did. As I said, he was so delighted that I've made him this pair as well. I tried to match them, and they do mostly match. What I did with both pairs of socks, however, was I forgot to take exact measurements. So with the first pair, I worked them out and sent them off to my dad, and they fit. And then I realised afterwards that I hadn't actually got as far as recording the measurements myself. So before I could start this pair, we had some really interesting email exchanges where I was trying to explain to him how to measure his sock for me so that I could get it correct. Because of course, going from the cocktail range, which has quite broad stripes, to the signature Birds collection, the stripe sequence is slightly different, and some of them are a bit narrower, so I couldn't exactly say count the stripes because he would have ended up with tiny socks. Anyway, we managed, and he's got them and he loves them, and once again I've forgotten to write all the measurements down, so before I cast on his next pair I'm going to have to trawl back through my Ebelts. So I predominantly knit on them in the waiting room. However, just before I finished them, it was a waiting room situation, and I was so close that when I got home I just carried on knitting and did the toe. I am chronically disorganised. I have very responsible jobs. I run my own business. I'm responsible for someone else's business. I have a home to look after, animals that rely on me, and an impending small person. So I kind of keep all those things sort of just about on an even keel, but the rest of my life is just creative, disordered chaos. And I couldn't find my darning needles anywhere, and I have lots of them. It's occurred to me that I possibly gave my two favourite ones to a very dear friend of mine. I was talking to you a few weeks ago. I sorted out a Knit Pro kit for her so she could start knitting with really nice things instead of inherited needles. Have any of you got inherited needles that you feel like you really have to hang on to because they belong to someone and they've given them to you, and you really should appreciate them? Let go of that. If you're holding on to them out of guilt, let go of it. Be grateful that you got them. Thankful for all the use they gave. Hello, Magnus. Hello. What's the matter then? But they've got to give you joy in the use of them. And honestly, I think if our grandparents, great-grandparents had the option of using the things that we use now, they would probably use them in a heartbeat, as opposed to the old steels or plastics or whatever it was they were using before. Hello, Magnus. Sorry, Magnus he was fast asleep, and it's quite early. It's 7 o'clock in the morning on Saturday the 7th of August, and I thought, while everyone's asleep, I will sneak downstairs and record a podcast. But little man has other ideas. I'll just swivel you around so you can see him. There we are. Well, the cushion covers aren't on the sofa because we've just washed them all. We wash them fairly frequently, and he's decided that the inners of the cushion are the perfect place to sit and look pathetic and get you all to feel very sorry for him that I'm not sitting with him or paying him any attention. But there you are. Yeah, so I think I gave some of my darning needles to Stace, and all I could find, well, I'll show you the videos. I'll put the videos up here and show you just what I ended up doing. Unfortunately, I won't, because I've managed to delete that footage. Suffice to say, my darning needle was significantly longer than the toe of Dad's sock. Check my Instagram to see it yourself. So, Dad's delighted with his socks, and after that I've been doing some design work that I can't show you at the moment. I'm not going to show the whole thing in all its glory until I've released the entire pattern to my Cozy Box members. So if you don't know, I hand dye yarn. I think I mentioned that at the top of the episode. And one of the things I've been doing this year as a kind of comfort thing with the pandemic and with having to stay at home a lot is I've created this quarterly box called the Cozy Box. You don't have to sign up every quarter. You can pick and choose which one. They've all got different weight yarns in. I'm going to flash some pictures up of previous boxes. And you can pick from 3 colour stories. So the thing that puts me off sometimes with mystery yarns from dyers is it is an investment. And I'm quite nervous that I might not actually like what comes through. I mean, I'll like it as a colour, but would I be able to use it, wear it? And do I really want to give it away? No, it's hand-dyed. And I keep my hand-dyed, unless you're very, very special, and then you get it. Or unless you buy my hand-dyed, in which case, have it. Do, please, buy it. So with everything that's been going on in my personal life, I bit off a bit more than I could chew with this quarter's design. And I had it all mapped out and I'd done the maths. I never normally do it that way round, but I was very smug. And then I thought I'll just give it a quick run through, make sure everything's just tickety-boo before I send it off. And lo and behold, I'd got it completely, I have no idea what I did. I've got literally no idea how I could have screwed it up so badly. But my box subscribers are all long-term customers of mine, all very understanding. And so I said, well, let's have an accidental mystery knit along. So what I did was I released the first kind of third of the pattern to them because that worked beautifully. And I've spent some time fixing it. So they've now had clue 2. They're going to get clue 3 at the end of this weekend. And then clue 4, the final clue, will be coming out next week for them. At which point, I think I might actually release the pattern. I've really enjoyed it. And actually, I know it's probably a bit frustrating not to get the complete pattern in their Cozy Box, but everyone seems to have embraced it and been looking forward to the clues coming out. So I was wondering if I were to try and do a mystery knit along. I'm not putting any dates or deadlines on it because you know what I'm like with a deadline anyway, and with my life changing as rapidly as it is, probably not the most reliable of people right now. Would you be interested in that? I'll show you next podcast, next week, hopefully next week. I will show you the finished shawl. It's called the Strawberry Lemonade shawl. There's bands of garter with different types of lace, and it's an interesting construction with a really interesting finished shape. She says, not demonstrating any of these things to you, so you just have to bear with me. But would that be something that interested you if we had a midnight mystery along? I think it could be quite fun. I think it could be fun. In between the headache of working out maths and lace, I have reached for my Garter blanket. Now this is my second Marled Rainbow Garter blanket. I did one last year, right at the beginning of the year I think, using rainbow minis from the Knitting Goddess and some undyed 4-ply yarn. And I loved it so much and it grew so quickly, and that I cast on another one immediately. So this was inspired by Amy Florence, my lovely friend, who at a time when her crafting mojo was through the floor, found great comfort in a simple marled garter stitch blanket. And this is how far I've got now. So since I last showed it to you, I was here just about, I've added this much on. So these two minis are neon minis from For the Love of Yarn, the lovely Lisa. There's an orange one in there as well that's also For the Love of Yarn. I think this one is Die Candy. This one I think is Truly Hooked, and this yellow in here is Truly Hooked as well. So they are hand dyed minis again, which I'm holding with undyed 4-ply yarn. This is taking a bit longer because it is that much wider. It's a good sized blanket. I'm not going to put a border or anything on it, and it was going to be for a gift, but I think I'm going to keep it for myself, not least because I don't know when it's going to be finished. So I've got this bag of minis here, and I'm actually doing okay with it. So I've got a green that's going to come next, I've got a tealy colour that's unravelled itself, I've got another highlighter one for the Love of Yarn, I've got a shocking pink For the Love of Yarn that's tiny because this, when Magnus was a puppy, he chewed it up. I've got some balls of Truly Hooked green as well, again mini balls because Magnus got hold of it. A bright Truly Hooked pink, bright Truly Hooked purple, Mothie and the Squid. This is my only ever skein of Mothie and the Squid, and I absolutely love what Gillian does. She's just an absolute wonder. So that's all I've got left to put into my blanket. And whereas the other minis I was using from the Knitting Goddess, I think they were 10 gram minis, I think, or maybe no, maybe they were 20 gram minis. These vary in weight and therefore length, but so it's not, I've put them together in sort of rainbowy order, but I quite like how different they all are. I do quite like that. So this is giving me a lot of comfort. There's no pattern for this, and to be honest, it'd be an absolute Mickey take if I released one, because it's just casting on the number of stitches you want. Now, how to work that out? I would start by looking at the gauge recommended on the yarn, or if it doesn't come with recommended gauge, as hand-dyed yarns often don't, just look at a standard 4-ply yarn, and I think I'm right in saying there's normally like sort of 28 stitches and 32 rows, something like that, to 4x4 inches. So if you think, well, okay, 28 stitches is going to give me 4 inches and I want it to be 2 foot wide, then you know how to multiply that to work out how many stitches to cast on, roughly. That'll give you a rough idea. And I'm just going, the length of each stripe is entirely dependent on the yarn I'm using. So you can see the bands of the highlighter ones are sort of more even. Die Candy was quite a long one as well. I'm not sure why that yellow was so much shorter. I think it was a Truly Hooked one. Maybe I used some of it in another project, that's possible. So that is my first whip that I've been working on, other than the one I can't show you. And my second one that's had some love is Pip's jumper. Now I was going to peg this out onto a board to show you properly, but 7 in the morning and I couldn't be bothered with faffing with pegs. So I have now finished the, I'm not going to talk about the pattern too much because it's in my last episode, so if you'd like to see the pattern and details, go to that one. So I've done, this is the front, I believe, so that's done, back's done, it's all rolling up because it's just stocking stitch, the bottom's meant to roll, and I've done the first sleeve. So this has, rather than casting on another sock for my hospital appointment waiting room things, I thought I'd work on this. So I finished this sleeve in a hospital appointment recently, and this sleeve would have been finished, but I didn't think to cast it on while I was in an 8-hour traffic jam on Wednesday. Is it Wednesday? Yeah, Wednesday. We had a hospital appointment, and unfortunately, and I really hope the driver's okay, a lorry caught fire on the Dartford Bridge, and it had to be closed, and there was lots of damage to the road, and we got caught. It happened at 3, we sort of drove along at 4, and it took us until midnight to get home. And for the first couple of hours, did I think about getting out my knitting? No. So I could have actually had this finished, but I've almost finished the second sleeve. There's a slight colour difference that you can see. I don't think it will show up too much when I put it together, but this is a hand dyed yarn. It's by Fibre, and it's called Shoreline, and the colourway is, there's a bit of fluff on there, the colourway is Shoreline and the yarn is Vivacious DK, which is 100% superwash merino, and it's really squishy. Yes, it's a bit of an indulgence, but this is the first sweater I've made for Pip, and even if there's no one to pass it on to, this will be kept. I'm slightly frustrated, if I'm honest, because I got almost the whole jumper out of one skein, and I've had to break into this for the second skein and the neckband, for the second sleeve and the neckband. So, I mean, that's fun. But anyway, there we are. So yeah, that's all I've really been doing creatively. The marled blanket, each row takes a while, winding the yarn takes a while because I haven't wound them all in advance. But I really want to get more things off my Wickboard before I put any more on. So I've completely resisted casting on another sock for my dad. I've got 2 socks on the go at the moment. I've got the playground socks, which is a design of mine that I'm hoping to release very, very soon. It depends on me finishing the sample. And the bramble socks, which is a design I'm working on. It's not a commission or anything. I've just decided to work on it for my friend Mia. And it's the most complicated design sock-wise that I've ever done. It's not going to be complicated to knit, but it's complicated to figure out. So I've got something a bit different for you as well this week. I've started English paper piecing, which is a form of quilting. I've always loved the look of quilts. I've really struggled to sew in a straight line, hence why I now outsource my project bags. I mean, I've never sold a wonky project bag to my knowledge, but still, I find them incredibly stressful. So what I've decided to do for Pip is to create a quilt. I've always wanted to try English paper piecing. My friend has been doing a quilt for some years now, and it's just so beautiful and mesmerising to watch. And if you've not heard of English paper piecing before, what you do is you decide on your shapes that your quilt's going to have. So mine is hexagons, but with little triangles in between. Now, in hindsight, I wish I'd just jumped at plain hexagons, but I was following a pattern. And I guess, like when you first start knitting or crocheting, you don't feel confident enough to go off-piste and make amendments. And I definitely didn't with quilting. So you have your template and you cut out a number of shapes that you would need. So I think I've cut out 60 hexagons. This is just my friend's wallpaper offcut that she had, which is quite good, it's quite firm. And then you take your square of fabric that you've cut to a relevant size. So I'm using snowman fabric. And you place your paper, or cut of stiff paper, in the back of it, and then you fold it over each edge of the hexagon one at a time, and you tack it down. It doesn't have to be particularly neat stitching, particularly small stitching, because this will be taken out afterwards. Sorry, I'm looking at what I'm showing you rather than at the camera. So you can see you would and fold it around to sew it down. So here are some that I did earlier. So you can see the tack stitches there. Come on, focus please. Yeah, so you can see the tack stitching. And once you've done however many you want to do, so I'll show you the fabrics I've got as well, you place them together, and you would use you could do it by machine, but I'm going to hand stitch it because I just can't be getting my machine out, and this is actually really therapeutic. I'm going to use like a ladder stitch to just sew these together, and then at the end, when you've put your quilt together, you would remove the tack stitching, therefore removing the paper pieces. They don't stay in there for the lifetime of your quilt. Then you add your wadding or batting and your backing. And the backing I've got is this beautiful green fabric. I only have the triangles in the green fabric to show you. because the rest of it's at my friend Jackie's. So I'm backing it in green. So my colours that I've picked, these are from fat quarter packs that I got from Hobbycraft some time ago. You might remember I had some snowman project bags a couple of Christmases ago. So I've got this one, this one, this one, this one, this one. Let's see what else I've got in here. I think I've got a couple more. Yeah, that one. So these are all from the fat quarter packs, but they're all different designs. And then for the triangles to add between them, we've picked out like some of the peachy colours. So we've got peach. I haven't cut the triangles out in card yet. Green. And blue. I didn't have enough blue fabric, so I picked up some on sale in the deep blue. So I think that will stop it becoming too pinky, but it picks out all the colours in the bits. So yeah, I've done a fair stack of them so far. The first one took me ages, and my friend Jackie, who's teaching me, was almost despairing because I was trying to be so neat. But it's important, so I'll just get the ones out I've done. This is only a couple of hours work really as well, which is nice. Oh, I found another one, another fabric I had. So I had a certain amount of fabric, and then Jackie raided her stash for me, and she had some she had some snowman fat quarter fabric as well, slightly different, and so we've combined them to make a complete snowman quilt. So is it these are the ones I've done so far? I thought I'd done more than that. Oh no, I've still done quite a few. So I've done that many so far. I've got all of those still to do and the triangles, and then the sewing it together. So I'm not sure when it will be finished. I do finish work. I actually stop going in and just work completely from home pretty much from next week. And then I'll be stopping work when little man arrives. So I've got my stack of hexagons. I think I need to cut some more hexagons actually. But yeah, I'm absolutely loving it. I'm not an expert, so I'm not going to do a tutorial per se, but if you'd be interested in seeing a small video of me demonstrating what I'm doing, then do let me know. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I'm discovering a love of sewing again. Haven't touched my cross stitch, so let's not talk about that, but this is nice. And I just bought a little woodland box to keep it all in, to keep it nice. So that is my English paper piecing project. And that is everything creative I've been working on. However, I've got some exciting things to talk about this week. I'm going to share a separate video as well for talking about gifts that I got from Stationery Geek. I talked about Stationery Geek last time. Incidentally, no one's taken part in the giveaway yet for that in the comments on the YouTube channel. So if you did want to win some Stationery Geek stationery, then pop back and look at my last video. If I don't get any sort of related comments, then I'll open it up to Instagram as well next week. So yeah, so I've got these fantastic things from Stationery Geek. I have a code. I'm a brand ambassador for them, so if you want to get 10% off, then you just need to use the code MidnightFriends10. I'll put the code down here for you, and that's valid on everything across the Stationery Geek range, and it's really, really good. I'm going to talk about this more at length next week, I think. Yeah, because otherwise I'll just be here for ages talking about it. I really love it. But what I've got to show you this week is some behind the scenes dyeing, because a very, very special, exciting project launched. I think I shared with you last time that I'm not going to be dyeing yarn anymore, temporarily anyway, for fairly obvious reasons. I'm not going to go into it here. You can go back and have a look at my previous episode if you would like. And I did mention that I've got some obligations that, or commitments, I should say, that I'd already made way back at the start of the year before my crazy journey started. And one of which is the Perth Festival of Yarn Collaboration Club. And that's what I'm going to talk to you a bit about now. I'm going to show you a video of the dyeing process as well. If you are a dyer or are interested in dyeing, I respectfully ask that you do not copy, because it's not a form of flattery. It's actually, you know, stealing an artist's work. But I wanted to show you the behind the scenes process for me dyeing this yarn. So what is the Collab Club? The Collaboration Club was an idea from Eva, who is the director of Perth Festival of Yarn, to support dyers during the pandemic and support the festival and bring a little bit of joy. We approached a few hand dyers. I was one of them, very honoured to be asked, and said, you know, what you would do is you would dye a completely exclusive, one-off, never, ever, 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 ever to be repeated colourway, purely for this collaboration club, on the theme Brighter Days. And I was originally meant to go earlier in the summer, but with everything, I was like, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to get this done. So we swapped. I swapped with another dyer, and I've gone for September, which means my colourway launched for pre-order. So basically the dyers produce a secret yarn that remains secret until the pre-orders launch. They're dyed to order, and mine launched on the 1st of August, so just under a week ago. And the theme I took was, I couldn't help but think of rainbows when you think of Brighter Days, and call it cliche if you like, but that's what I wanted. And I wanted to do something completely different, and something that was thoughtful, and something that represented what dyeing means to me. And I find dyeing to be really meditative, and it's kind of my escape, it's my happy place. It's where I feel most me, if that makes sense. And so I wanted to do something that kind of encapsulated that. And you can't help but think of a rainbow against a grey sky and how bright and hopeful they feel. So what I've done, and I'll probably overlay the video here at this point, is I've designed a skein that is predominantly greys with the odd lighter patches, which represents a cloudy sky, and then bright flashes of rainbow shades. And I just think there's something in the natural beauty of the world, you know, even in this pandemic, with this destruction of nature all around us, there is also such beauty, and that juxtaposition, that contrast between the two, I find that to be incredibly inspiring. And in the natural world, I've taken a lot of comfort, and in darker times, going for walks and just surrounding myself with nature is actually incredibly restorative. So I wanted to do that. And the idea was that rather than kind of being this bright in your face, you know, Brighter Days colourway, was that it was actually quite muted, but you can really see those pops of colour and they really stand out. And that's kind of what it's, not to get too literary or philosophical on you, but Aristotle had this theory of tragicomedy. And he wrote quite a few tragicomedies, and a tragicomedy basically is a play which has incredible moments of tragedy, but comedy. And you know, the charity event Comic Relief, I mean, it comes from that sort of idea that actually, the more sort of darkness you experience, the more bright the moments of joy shine. And it's having those juxtapositions, but equally it means that the tragedy has more impact from a literary and dramatic point of view. Because if it's always blah, 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 then you're going to get desensitized to it. And that's kind of what I wanted, these colours to pop out in sharp relief to the background of the grey, so therefore having more impact. And the way it should knit up, I'm not sure about crochet, how it crochet up, but the way it should knit up, if you knit it, should be that you'd have rows that are predominantly grey with just a few stitches at a time of really flashes of really bright colour. And I've really enjoyed dyeing it. As you can see from the videos that I'm putting up, or if I choose to put them up separately, I don't know what I'm going to do yet with editing. I lay it out and hand paint it. The name of the colourway that I've chosen, it chose itself, and bear with me here, is Pointless I can't say it. Pointless I'm going to put it here. Now, one of those words is, it's a literary device, literacy device, I guess, in the English language, where you have a series of words to represent other words to help you remember something. So rich in this case for a rainbow, certainly the old sort of English school one was Richard of York gave battle in vain. So the colours of the rainbow would be Richard, red, of orange, York, yellow, gave, green, battle, blue, I, in, indigo, V, violet. And getting this yarn right really, really mattered to me. So I was constantly going, Richard of York gave battle in vain, Richard of York gave battle in vain. So I dyed the 4-ply and really happy with it. Sent a picture off to Eva, sent a little video reveal of it as well. And then I was dyeing the DK sample because I wanted to send her some skeins ahead of time. As I was dyeing it, I went, oh no. I might not have said oh no. I might have said something a little bit naughtier. And because despite saying Richard of York, I'd actually dyed Richard York of red, yellow, orange. And I thought, I haven't got any spare skeins. I literally need every skein I've got. And I dashed upstairs to check the 4-ply. And I'd done it wrong there too. Which I suppose is a saving grace, because then at least it's wrong in both. So what was the point in me saying this mnemonic? I can't say it. What was the point in me using it? It was utterly pointless, and I was devastated. I was like, this isn't perfect. I need it to be perfect. I want it to be, it's meant to be right. And I cried. Okay. I thought I'd ruined this colourway. And my husband was comforting me, and then we were sort of looking at it, and I'd used lilac instead of indigo, and I was like, well, I didn't think the indigo stood out enough. I wanted something brighter. And it struck me there really was no point in me worrying about that thing that I can't say, because I'd ignored it anyway with a different colour. So the whole thing was utterly ridiculous and utterly pointless. And I guess that fits the theme as well, because by this point, I couldn't help but laugh. And also, try as I might, I can't say that damned word. So the whole thing became a little bit ridiculous and a little bit hilarious. And again, that kind of fits with the theme as well. I think the amazing resilience of nature to come back after devastation, and of human nature to find moments of brightness, even in the darkest times, to find hope, to find a reason somehow to cling on is truly inspiring. And so the whole thing just fits, just works. So I'll show you the colours again. These are the 2 yarns, one in 4-ply, one on DK. You can order either or, you can order one, you can order multiples if you like. They are only available through the Perth Festival of Yarn website. Pre-orders do close on the 21st of August, so you have a limited time, and then I'll be dyeing up a storm to get them ready and shipped out. I've actually started work on some of the pre-orders already. The lovely Eva's given me a heads up, so I'm able to spend my last sort of dye day today. By last dye day, I mean my last full sort of dye day. I'm doing my husband's support. I'll be able to spend some time getting those started and working on them. But it's not just about the yarn. For every dyer that has been showcased, Eva teamed up with the wonderful Eris Apple, and I have shown some of her patches here before. And so what she's doing, Eris Apple, is designing a unique exclusive patch to represent the dyer and the theme Brighter Days. I have no idea what my patch looks like. It's been kept completely secret. And although you can see the yarns before you pre-order them, you don't see the patch. That itself is a secret. And that is £6, I believe. And the patches are really, really high quality, and you're supporting another indie business there as well as the festival. So the DK retails at 16, same as on my website, and the 4-play retails at 17, same as on my website. And then you get the add-on patch as well. All available through Perth Festival of Yarn. Pre-orders close on the 21st of August. And yeah, I hope you've enjoyed seeing a little bit of behind the scenes, and I hope I've given you a giggle with my attempts to say that word, which shall here on in forever be known as that word. I was talking to Eva about it, and she was like, what's this name mean? And I told her the story, and we were on a video call, and she just sort of went, that's so you. That's so you. I'm like, yeah, it kind of is. And then she did a live to share my colourways at the weekend. And didn't she say it right first time? Just putting me to shame. If you need a giggle, think of that, but also think of me trying to teach that to a classroom full of teenagers when I can't say it. I mean, at least they didn't forget the lesson. So, yeah, that's what's been going on. That's what's been happening behind the scenes. So if you do want as well to see a bit more about these incredible books that Stationery Geek sent me, so this is the Stash Ventry, property of the Dungeon Master, a Dungeons and Dragons themed notebook, and my yarn dyeing project Bible, which is going to be an invaluable tool to me, then do check out the reveal video and full review as well. All I will say for these at the moment is they are fantastic. I love them. I'm already using my whip cards, and you have the opportunity to win some whip cards as well. Go back and check my previous episode if you like. I mean, I've got enough whips to use them, so you know, I don't have to share. I'm sure there's lots that I'm forgetting, but this is already pushing 45 minutes long. I've had enough of your time, and I think, I've taken enough of your time, and I think that this is probably a pretty good place to leave it. So although the dyeing is stopping, the designing is carrying on, the creative nonsense is coming on, and I hope that I will see you again very soon for another crafty chat. Have a great week. Let me know how you are in the comments. Take care. See you soon. Bye.